1. So this didn't make much sense when it happened the first time. And I don't expect any of you to make sense of it either, but bear with me, and we'll both try and understand, okay? Hell, I don't even know if this belongs here or not. So, I only recently got into Reddit a couple of months back, and only really started using the app to browse no sleep because I find the stuff on there amazing. Anyway, a couple days back I read a post about a person living and reliving multiple days at a time, and the story ends with the protagonist caught in a loop where hijackers take over the plane and crash it. This really struck a chord because I had a similar experience before, with some details different. To begin, it was late 2014, and I was just really excited to get the year over and done with because, honestly, I hated that year. So many things went wrong. Bad grades in school, bad relationship, bad everything. So I woke up on a Saturday morning feeling groggy. I believe it was the week before New Year's Eve or Christmas, and decided to finish my daily routine and head for a swim at my local pool. Nothing big happened that day except for the fact that the pool was closed and I had to walk the 5 kilometers home in 40 centigrade heat. We live in Australia. This day wasn't significant except I remember my throat closing up a little at bedtime. Severe asthma. So I took my inhaler and went to sleep. I woke up the next morning feeling groggy and decided to do the same thing. Here's where it gets a little weird. I have a habit of checking my phone from the time when I wake up. So I do exactly that, and the day was Saturday the 27th. At the time I paid little heed to it until I decided to go for a swim, which was when it hit me. I was reliving the same day again. I even recall asking my dad what the date was, and he said Saturday the 27th. I started to panic, and my thoughts started getting weird as I still remembered that yesterday was the 27th. After my little panic moment, I decided to relive it exactly, so I don't alter the timeline drastically. I read Flash comics a lot, and I was reading Flashpoint at the time. But the timeline seemed to alter itself as I got to the pool, and it was open, and I could go in. At that point I thought, fuck it, and went and had a good swim. I got home trying to find any differences between the days, and there were some. For one, I noticed a fight happening between a couple, which turned violent in the first day, and I vaguely remember someone screaming about a baby or something. On the second time around, I noticed a man holding the woman in his hands, and a stroller nearby. I kept on walking till I reached home. Another difference was that my asthma didn't kick in this time around, and I remembered that I had a good sleep. Looking back on this post, it doesn't seem like much, but it freaks me out till this day. I kept asking questions like, did I die on that day, and did everything reset or something? Did I jump timelines or something? Dunno, maybe you guys can enjoy this. 2. Background. A little over a year ago I was friends with this girl. I met her through art class. We started to hang out, and whenever I was at her house, I always had the feeling like someone was standing over me, but no one ever was. The whole house had a very strange vibe to it. Her sister even told me she talks to angels, and that they live in her closet. So that right there was a huge red flag. I've also seen plenty of unexplained shadows around the house. I never really thought of it too much, until something very freaky happened. One of my other friends happened to live right up the street from this girl, and we always smoked weed on his front porch. So one summer night, me, my friend that lived up the street from her, and another friend were smoking on the porch as usual. It was around 12:30 to 1 a.m. The whole street is very quiet, and no one was out and about. Then we see lights on the outside of her house flick on, and there was a guy in a black jumpsuit coming out of their front door with a wheelbarrow and dumped whatever was in it in the street. We thought it was odd, but didn't pay too much attention to it. The lights go off and everything goes back to normal. About 20 minutes later, it starts to get oddly cold. Keep in mind it's the middle of July and it was hot as shit all the way up until that point, and my cell phone reception just cut out. Then we see the lights flick on again and another man comes out of the house and starts walking up the street towards our direction. He had a black jumpsuit on also. What I can only describe as a black traffic cone on his head, a sack over his face with no eye holes, and black boots. He gave off a very unsettling vibe. As he got closer, we noticed he was holding a pole as he walked. It looked like a bamboo stick. At this point we were all terrified. He was walking weird also. He walked up the street, and once he was about 2 houses up from us, he completely vanished into thin air. He was gone. Then the lights shut off, and it went to being hot, and I had reception. Once it was all said and done, we were so scared. We all saw the exact same thing, so there's no way something was wrong with the weed. What the hell did I witness? Note, this is not even close to the only weird thing I've seen in this house. She doesn't live in this state anymore, and a new family has moved in, and all the creepy shit stopped. 3. A couple of months ago, I was moving to a new country that uses European plugs and outlets. I was coming from a country that uses North American plugs and outlets, and so, at the airport, I made a stop at an electronics store in the airport. I bought 2 adapters only for phone charging, and I bought 1 other only for laptop charging. Important to note the quantities. I only purchased 1 of the laptop chargers. During my next few months abroad, I ended up changing houses pretty often, and using these converters. Every time I moved in somewhere new, I would pack up these 3 converters, always the same. 2 of the small converters and 1 bigger converter. A couple of days ago, I finally moved into my new and permanent place. I set up my electronics, including my laptop, at my office, and I plugged it into the wall in a corner of the room using my only laptop converter. Yesterday, cleaners came by and needed to wipe the top of the entire desk I was using, so I moved my entire computer over to another desk across the room, unplugged my charger with the converter attached, and moved my laptop and plugged it into the other plug next to the other desk. I continued using that desk for another couple of hours until the cleaners were finished, and then I moved everything back to where it was before. When I tried unplugging my laptop from the wall this time, the converter stayed plugged in by itself, and I had to manually pry it loose. For some reason it was really stuck in there well. I then reattached it to my charger and plugged my laptop back in at the original place without any issues. A while later, during the end of the day, when I was closing the window in the office, I passed by the plug where my computer had been plugged in, and noticed that my converter was still stuck into the wall. I pried it loose, went over to my laptop and took a look. My laptop's charger was already plugged into the wall using a converter. I then unplugged the second converter and compared the 2 side by side. They were almost identical, although one has a small serial number written on the bottom, while the other has the letters LN written. I'm the only one that lives here, although during the day a co-worker comes and works here as well in the same office. I specifically showed her the converter and asked if she knew anything about it, which she didn't. Furthermore, it's very unusual to find such a converter here, since no one has North American electronics. I'm struggling to think of another explanation for the appearance of a second converter, in an outlet in the office where only me and my coworker are. Is it possible I just found a duplication glitch in real life? 4. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was working at a Burlington coat factory in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Burlington is a place where you can buy clothes for cheaper than normal because the store buys them in bulk. I was a cashier there and, as such, had some fun experiences to punctuate the stressful, never-ending days. There was one experience that shattered my view of reality, however, and maybe you guys can make sense of it. Albuquerque is both the filming location and the setting for the popular show Breaking Bad. There are some people who think that people in the city take part in the show, but it never happens. Except in ways such as the story I'm about to tell. You see, because of the clothes being so cheap, it isn't uncommon for people who are in charge of wardrobes to come to Burlington. It's always something of an irritating experience because wardrobe heads don't buy just 1 or 2 outfits. They usually buy what appears to be 2 times enough clothes for the season at once. They like to have options, just like real people do. And an episode might cover more than 1 day. So a season of 13 episodes might actually have 30 outfits per character. Any time that I checked out the clothes for Breaking Bad, I always felt a bit stressed out, I'm not kidding. Between scanning, removing security tags, and bagging, one experience might take 4 hours. One of the times that I did this, I went through the clothes with her explaining what she wanted for each piece to help make the time go by faster. Everyone who's seen Breaking Bad knows that color is an important part of the show, and it was rather interesting to hear her reasons for picking each outfit. I suppose I knew about the color symbolism before anyone else outside of the show. Because of her explanations and the time, I had a pretty good idea of what she had bought. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to go out and replicate her purchase, but if I saw the clothes again, I would be able to recognize them. As a side note, I did recognize them on the show when I watched it, later the following year. The thing is, that one of the times that she did this, after I had checked her out, I went outside for a cigarette. Because of the time that it had taken, my register was closed, so I was able to follow her out. The amount of clothes she had meant that it took her almost my entire cigarette to pack them away. She was only just leaving the parking lot as I was headed back inside. I remember her leaving because the exit road runs in front of the store, and she waved to me as she was heading out. I went back inside and went to the bathroom. Just pee, you understand. I washed my hands and, since I hadn't clocked out to smoke, went back to my register. I checked out another person who was getting a pack of underwear, when my manager told me that the next purchase would require me to close my register. She told me this with a sympathetic grim face, and I looked up to see the Breaking Bad woman back with 2 carts full of clothes. At that moment, I didn't think it was too odd. I mean, she could have forgotten something and come back and decided to do a lot more shopping in that time. No. It wasn't until she came to the register that things started getting really weird. "Long time no see," I said, as friendly as I could as she began to unload the first cart. Her face scrunched in confusion, but she didn't say anything. I thought maybe she thought I was insulting her for coming back with a second load. It couldn't have been that she didn't recognize me, as she had spent nearly 4 hours talking to me, and even waved as she had left the first time. "I was making a joke since she just left," I clarified. Her confusion didn't go away. "I haven't seen you in a year," she said. "Not since my last trip." I thought she might have been making a joke to try and match mine, so I let out a laugh. As usual, she went through the explanation for each outfit, and I immediately realized that she hadn't been joking. Every single piece of clothing was the same, every one. The stories about them were all the same, and it was about 10 minutes before I broke my mindless routine to stop her and look at her. Okay, you did just buy all of these, right? She shook her head. I told you, I haven't been in a year. But you were just here, you bought all of these, I said, making her raise her eyebrows. I don't think so, I'd remember that. Crazy thing was, I did remember it. I managed to chalk it up to the stress of the work and school making the time fly, but I know that she came in twice that day. And she had bought the exact same clothes. My manager only remembered her coming in once, too. So what do you guys think? A prophetic daydream, a crazy moment? The only proof I have that it didn't all happen in my head was that when I went out again after she left, my cigarettes were exactly at the right number for my version of events. If she hadn't shown up, I should have one extra, right? 5 years ago, when I was 16 years old, I had the most irritating and depressing dream I've ever had. And I know them all, from dreams in dreams to reoccurring dreams over longer periods of time, lucid dreaming, all the sorts. This one dream, however, was like nothing I had ever or have since experienced. It was as close to reality as possible. I was 16 years old, living with my mom and her boyfriend. Visited my dad and his wife during weekends. I took care of my 3 younger siblings, went to school. It was the same, one-to-one, every little detail. Even the house I lived in was the same. The streets I crossed to go to school were the same, hell. The damn streetlight that was broken in my street in reality was also broken in my dream. There was only one single, but major thing that was different. My twin brother was alive. You have to know, when my mom was pregnant with me, the doctor discovered, in the 5th month of pregnancy, that she was carrying twins, one of which was already dead due to insufficient feed through the umbilical cord. It was developed far enough for the doctor to see that it was a boy. She told me about it when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and I remember being extremely sad about it, since I always wanted to have an older brother or one my age. In this dream, my brother was alive and my best friend. I still remember how he looked like as if it had just happened last night. It was like he was my mirror. We shared the same hobbies, we had a mutual group of friends, of course we also sometimes fought, and got on each other's nerves. But that's normal, isn't it? Everything in this dream was logical. My brother and me would both visit my dad since we were both his children. We went to the same school. I remember seeing him taking care of my youngest sister, and she calling him brother. Just remembering it breaks my heart. When, in the dream, maybe 2 or 3 weeks had passed, everything broke apart. Literally. Our house collapsed and crashed. I remember standing in front of ruins and being left alone. Then I woke up. My twin brother was gone, and I felt so alone like I never had before. It was like he had died. I don't want to sound dramatic or anything, but there's not 1 week of my life when I don't think of him. Sometimes even every day. And it was still just a dream, wasn't it? I never told anyone about it in fear of being called silly. I think nobody would understand. It feels like for some weeks, I could live in my alternate life with my twin brother still alive. Could I catch a glimpse of one of my alternative realities? I don't know. But this dream made me love my non-existential brother so much that I have to believe that there is a world where he lives. Has anyone ever experienced a dream like this? I still can't get over how real it was. Every detail was in place. I'm open to any kind of reply. I just want to find some answers. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Glitch in the Matrix Stories, Episode 13. You know, it feels like I just recorded a glitch video, but obviously I didn't because that was last week's. Perhaps a glitch of my own there. Or maybe it's just that as I'm getting older, time's flying by. Speaking of time flying by, we're about halfway done with this month. Already had to start my Christmas shopping. Things are starting to arrive. I hope you have too, if you happen to celebrate Christmas. I might be an atheist, but I do rather enjoy the Christmas time. Before it slips in my mind, of course, I'd just like to say thank you very much to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. I've already got a start on next week's glitch video as well, so hopefully we should have another one there. And I think I'm going to head off for now, just make this a short outro, because I'm about to go do the paranormal video. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.